Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. We all know that Group C here at Worlds for 2019 is the group of death. It is crazy. SKT, RNG, Fnatic, 3 of the top 5-6 teams at the entire event in the same group. And this is a theme we see quite often at Worlds. There's always a group of death.
Always got to be one of these groups that takes the hit here. Everyone's got to be waiting on that year, and it's like that wager in poker here, and someone's got to put it in here because you got to pay that price here. It looks right now here that this one, pretty hefty price this year going up against the likes of the SKT squad here, coming fresh off of the dominating playoff series they had in the LCK. RNG looking like that kind of shining gold second star here coming through here from the LPL. And of course, Fnatic putting up probably their best showing that we've seen so far this year against G2. Just not enough to get the title there. And what's your reward? Right into this group.
That's what happens when you finish as a pool 2 seed and you're not the top dog. It's always Group C or D, and we're looking at the craziest groups of death. Where does 2019 rank? Is it the hardest group we've ever seen at the World Championship? Well, we got to look at the other ones, starting way back in 2015, where, yes, it was Group D, and yes, TSM was in there, and you got to keep in mind for these groups of death, we got to talk about pre-tournament and post-tournament, because coming into 2015, KT had taken down the KOO Tigers. They beat them in a best-of-5. LGD had just steamrolled through the LPL playoffs to take that first seed, and Origin, even though they were the 3rd seed in Europe, they were pretty much the consensus second best team, and obviously TSM was the best. This group before the tournament looked insane.
It looked like quite the group of death here, and this was one of those type of first situations really that you could feel that name come through here and truly be the feeling of this group, because you had so much potential heading into this one. You had so many storylines, so many hopes and dreams here in this one, and you knew that coming into this one, when you saw that draw, that absolutely some are going to get crushed here, because there's no way that everyone's making it out of this one. That certainly was quite the first experience here, at least for me, with a group of death in League of Legends history.
And obviously that only was possible because TSM wasn't actually Pool 1, because they performed so poorly at MSI, even though they were the 1st seed, and then them and LGD obviously fell flat on their faces. 2016 is when RNG came into the bunch as being the group of death, and now they have that honor 4 years in a row. They've been a part of it. You had Samsung Galaxy, RNG, TSM, and Splice. I feel like this one is even less of a group of death than 2015 because Splice, I don't think there were huge expectations for them. And Samsung came in from the gauntlet. They were still confident, but they weren't a title-winning team yet.
Right, it still was not, it's not the Samsung that when you think back in the course of history of, at this point in time, even the earlier peaks, you're not thinking of this Samsung roster being quite the same, and they haven't reached the peaks that this roster would reach on their own quite yet here at this point in time. And then you do think about Splice being kind of this group that were able to get in there, and you kind of hope maybe they can pull off some of these upset type of situations here, but certainly wasn't going to be anyone that you looked at. But it was really all about TSM and RNG. And again, it was about TSM needing to find the wins to get out of this group. And this is one of those types of situations here, and kind of, I think, the beginning really of the groups where, hey, you should have made it out. You got to find a way to make it out if you're going to be one of these best teams, and that TSM squad was unable to achieve that.
They were so close to going 2-0 against Samsung. Obviously, that is the double lift Victor play where he dashes in on Lucian. Didn't even get a tiebreaker against RNG because they were 0-2 against them, but they both finished 3-3. I don't think that one is even in the top 4 for deadliest groups. So we go to 2017, and it's some similar culprits. RNG and Samsung come right back in, only this time, Samsung, they made it to the World Finals in 2016. They went toe-to-toe with SKT again. They steamroll through the gauntlet to get here. G2, fresh off their MSI Finals against SKT, that was a competitive best-of-5, and RNG looked even better. So on paper, you had 3 incredible teams. The problem is, poor old Fenerbahce there.
Poor old 1907 Fenerbahce. You got to say the whole thing, of course, they're coming in with that big old goose egg in the 0-6 record. But I think
almost beat G2.
They were close in that one, but I think, yes, this one does deserve its own bit of respect here in kind of the group of death history that you have here with League of Legends. When you're looking at the top there with RNG and Samsung Galaxy, that's your Bash Brothers duo right there. They've been together here in these type of groups all kind of throughout, and when you look especially through the history of the group of deaths, you will see Samsung and RNG paired up together quite a few times here. And of course, yes, this is the eventual time here finally where the Samsung squad gets it all together and makes the full trip all the way to the finals, besting Faker and SKT in that full sweep at the finals here. And of course, this was Uzi in what would seem to be almost peak form here, trying to get it done on home soil. Convert here was not able to get there, but man, this was a group that had a lot of potential, a lot of skill here, and again, you were so close with G2 finding a way to kind of pull off that upset there and get through. Emotional devastation for them at this point, but hey, keep your heart up here, Perks. You're going to be getting some pretty fancy chances here in the near future.
And G2 obviously was the only team to beat RNG in that group stage, and that's an example of post-group stage, post-Worlds. You probably rank that even higher as a deadly group because RNG went to the semis, 5 games against SKT, and obviously Samsung won the entire thing. But I still think the deadliest group is last year. We're talking 2018 when you had, those guys look familiar, RNG and Samsung rebranded to GenG. Obviously, things changed a little after the group stage, but coming into this one, RNG were the overall tournament favorites because they had won every single event leading up to this event, and GenG were the defending world champions, and I think Cloud9, again, were the consensus second best team in North America. This team, or this group, was insane.
This group was insane because you came right into it here with this situation and the reality facing at the beginning here that, hey, you're looking at, of course, again, the two brothers have been saying it here all the way throughout. You got RNG and GenG here, was Samsung Galaxy in this group of death here and looking at it. And then, of course, you added in here the extra bit of spice with the NA and EU, of course, adding in, getting C9 in there and thinking to yourselves, oh man, C9, they've always had a chance to get out of any type of international group they've been given here. But, oh man, this looks like too much. There's no way that they're going to be able to do that. And even Vitality was a group that had shown us kind of that fire that was needed here to pull off some of these upsets and representing some of that hopes and dreams here in EU to pull off something as incredible as getting by here, the two titans that seemed to be in that group. And it all came together and all these upsets started to go right from the get-go of this group. And you had some of the best times I've ever seen here in the group stage, and trying to get out of this one here truly was pretty much a group of death here, making that crawl out.
Yeah, and I think the reason that this one is the craziest, even in 2019, and you rank it more than 2017, is you're comparing Vitality and 1907 Fenerbahce. Obviously, Vitality was much, much, much more competitive in this group than the Turkish squad ever could be. And as it turns out, taking down GenG wasn't actually an upset at all in that group stage.